Hello, hello. Am I on? Maybe. I am. Good? Yes? Okay. Excellent. I know there were like 3 mics up here, so I hopefully got lucky with the right one. Hey, good evening, tablers, tablists, what else can we? Tablites? It's so good to see all of you. I wasn't able to be here for the Christmas service. Had somebody in the family who was sick. So it's so good to see all of your faces tonight. Our first service of 2026. Welcome. Happy New Year. You are here on a great night. And also, I just want to say hi to the people that are tuning in online. My name is Karen Miner. Pronouns are she, her. And this is one of my favorite services of the year. We get to hear stories from people in our community, and it's just such a wonderful, connecting, Christ-centered way to start off the new year. So I'm really glad you're here. I'm really glad I'm here, and I'm really glad we get to worship together tonight. A couple of announcements. This is the first Sunday of the month, and as is tradition around here, first Sunday of every month, we go out to eat after the service. Hat Creek Burger Company off of Highway 78 in Saxe. There's a playground for the kids. The weather's pretty decent still, so let's go eat after the service and continue the conversation in the community. Also, if you are feeling fidgety or need something to do with your hands during the service, we have our accessibility bucket right over there on the cabinet. Feel free to take whatever you need, just return it when you're done after the service. And I think that's it for tonight. We're just kind of easing into the new year. I do want to do a call to worship, which I do not have memorized yet, so bear with me. Let me grab that. Let's take a breath together. Just arrive here now. Inhale in. Exhale out. Close your eyes if you like. Let yourself feel grounded and centered. Let yourself be held tonight by the peace and the grace and the love of God. Now we exit the kingdom of noise, hurry, and productivity. Now we enter the kingdom of silence, stillness, and simplicity, a sacred space, a place for prayer, worship, and adoration, a place to behold Christ, revelation of God, heartbeat of creation. Allow the unforced rhythms of grace to find you, to mend your heart. May we all come home.
Thanks, Karen. We are so glad you guys are here. If y'all want to stand with us, we're going to get started with a few songs tonight. This is a space that you are welcome, your whole story and all of your gifts, whether you are a singer or not a singer, you are a part of this worship set with us. So if you feel comfortable singing out, please do so. If you want to sit and soak, you can do that as well. But we want it to be a holistic experience where our minds, our bodies, our voices, our hearts are all lifted up together in this room, as it's so rare that we get that gift in our fast-paced culture. So let's enjoy it and appreciate it tonight as we worship a God who is with us and for us.
Through every battle, through every heartbreak, through every circumstance, I believe that you are my fortress, you are my portion, you are my hiding place. I believe are protected, and you are the one I love. Oh, I believe you are the way, the truth, and the light. I believe you are the way and the truth, oh, the light. I believe you are. And it's a new horizon, and I'm set on you. And you meet me here today, mercies that are new. All my fears and doubts, they can all come to, because they can't stay long when I'm here with you. It's a new horizon, and I'm set on you. And you lead me here today with mercies that are new. All my fears and doubts, they can all come to, because they can't stay long when I believe you are the way, the truth, yeah, the light. I believe you are the way, the truth, oh, the light. Oh, I believe you are. And it's a new horizon, and I'm set on you. And you meet me here today with mercies that are new. All my fears and doubts, they can all come to, because they can't stay long when I believe you are the way and the truth and the light. I believe you are. Yeah, we believe. All right, you kiddos are dismissed to go to kids ministry, and your teachers will meet you over there by the doors. Thank you guys for making this service possible and giving our kids a safe space to learn about the love of God. So grateful for our teachers and our helpers. In Ezekiel 36, it says, "For I will take you out of the nations, and I will gather you from all the countries and bring you back into your own land. I'll sprinkle clean water on you, and you will be clean. I will cleanse you from all your impurities, from all your idols. I'll give you a new heart, and I will put in you a new spirit. And I will remove from you your heart of stone and give you a heart of flesh. You will live in my land, the land I gave your forefathers, and you will be my people, and I will be your God." We are leaving crumbling buildings, full of dust and full of judgment. We to trust in Jesus, just to take him at his word, just to rest upon his promise, and to know thus saith the Lord. Jesus, Jesus, how I trust him, how I prove him o'er and o'er. Jesus, Jesus, precious Jesus, oh, for grace to trust him more. Jesus, Jesus, how I trust him, how I proved him o'er and o'er. Jesus, Jesus, precious Jesus, oh, for grace to trust him more. Oh, for grace to trust him more. God, as we go into a new year full of new possibilities, we remember that you are the same God who's held our hand through the trials, the struggles, the heartbreak, the pain, and you will continue to see us through. You will continue to work on our heart of stone and replace it with a heart of flesh. You will continue to bring light into darkness and healing and hope where there was loss, where there has been damage, God. You bring your repair. We trust you to continue that good work in our hearts. We trust you to make us into a new creation. God, would we make space and room for you and your work in our lives? In Jesus' name, amen. All right, would you guys turn to the person on your right and left and say, "The peace of Christ be with you," and then you may be seated.
Well, it is Story Sunday, first Sunday of the year, and yeah, I'm excited. Glad to be with you all. My name is Brett. I'm the pastor here, and joy to be with you on this special day, and just to welcome you into this space, into this new year, full of possibility and hope for what Christ will do among us. And as always, I want to welcome those joining us online. Love y'all lots as well. So basically, we kind of have this value for really just opening up space to hear from people. We always do it at least the very first Sunday of the year, and then sometimes kind of throughout we'll sporadically do it on occasion. And just kind of, there's something about kind of honoring people's story, honoring their journeys and really giving our attention to folks and in a way of kind of being able to track not only each other just relationally, but even being able to kind of track like what is God up to in people's lives, even in sometimes kind of unexpected ways. And having said that, it's not even necessarily always like some neat and tidy bow on it. You know what I mean? These aren't always stories of just kind of like victory and we're just going from one success to the next, you know, or something. That's not really the point. Isn't to this isn't like a promo or like a highlight reel for the table, you know, or something. This is really just listening to people and hearing the journey that they've been on. So with that in mind, I want to invite up Tiffany and Jared Loudermilk onto the stage. So y'all give them a hand as they come forward. How about in the middle? Yeah. All right, so the Loudermilks.
Don't have to do announcements today.
You don't have to do announcements, my friend. We, in fact, Jared was scheduled, and we were like, yeah, maybe that's not best. Let's just leave you just one thing to do, you know. But the Loudermilks, if you haven't had a chance to get to know them, wonderful people. One thing I love about them is, I mean, they have like a lot of. The more I've gotten to know them, I've seen some of the similarities. But initially, what strikes me about them, like, they're very different in that Jared is like the extrovert's extrovert. He, you know what I mean? He just, all the people, all the time. And Tiffany is not the extrovert's extrovert, you know, just like quiet and all that. But yeah, so I'm grateful. I'm grateful for both of you sharing. I'm particularly grateful to Tiffany for her willingness to like jump up. I know this is like way outside the comfort zone, but even Jared too. I mean, this isn't like necessarily always just super easy. Get in front of everyone and, you know, share your story. So we're really, really grateful for y'all. So and I should mention too, they've been kind of together, was it married 21 years or together 21 years? It's been a while.
Married 20 years this year.
Married
this
20.
month.
Wow.
Together 26.
26. Okay, that's what it is. Yeah, so I mean, this is like, y'all been together a while. Y'all, I'm not saying you're getting old. I'm just saying you've been together a while. That's awesome.
No, we're getting old.
Yeah.
It is indeed not my first rodeo.
Yeah. and then attending the table for the last 2.5 years, and y'all live in Saxe. So, all right, so you both grew up in fairly, you know, kind of religiously conservative environments, to maybe put it mildly. So just what was that like, and how did it shape you as a person?
So we were talking about this last week, and one of the things that is very similar about the houses we grew up in is the dynamic of one person is right. Everyone else agrees with them, whether you like it or not. That is, I've come to realize that is a very Christian, evangelical kind of perspective. Not every house has that. Didn't know that growing up. But when Jared and I got together, we both had come from houses where there was a lot of fighting, there was a lot of resentment, there was a lot of tension, there you go. And we didn't want that. Like, we didn't have the words that we have now for it, but 25 years ago, we were both like, I don't want to live my life screaming at each other. I don't want to live my life resenting you because you made me do a thing that I very clearly didn't want to do. And so we just said, let's not do, we can just not do that, right? Like, that's allowed. And so we didn't. And we made it a really concerted effort to not do that in our life together.
Yeah, I would agree. I think we both, the Christian evangelical hierarchy system of obedience followed with, and that being kind of going all the way up the chain to the dad, and then like all those things. But there was no space to have discussion. And I think that's a thing that's how that's turned into for us, is nothing is, very rarely is something like a big decision. Like, sure, if you don't have the spoons to figure out what's for dinner, then I'll figure out dinner. We don't have to discuss that. But the big things in life are discussions that happen. They're not things that are mandated.
Was there, you kind of mentioned wanting a different household and a different kind of marital dynamic, and was there kind of a single moment that started to, that stands out as like, oh, that was like the moment that really started to shift my kind of, religious spiritual trajectory, or, was it kind of like a series of small like micro shifts through the years? Like which one kind of mattered most to you? I mean, obviously to some degree maybe both of those were there, but which one, what would you say was kind of the experience?
In our relationship, very early on, we had one or two kind of bigger fights, and had one of those where we went to bed angry and then were mad at each other for like 3 days, and it was real ugly and awful. And I just, I know to me it was, I don't want this. I don't want to feel this way. I don't want to live this way. There has to be something better. But that part was very much sort of a gradual shift and kind of just learning how to do it because we had not seen it in action. Personally, for my deconstruction, for me, there was one moment. We were doing training to do foster care, and in that training, there was a lot of conversation about cultural differences and understanding like the culture of your own house. And we had said, oh yeah, we're definitely open to kids from any background, any race. And our agency, bless them, they said, okay, if you're gonna say that and you're both white, then you need to learn some things because there's probably stuff you don't know. And so I started learning from transracial adoptees, so people who had been adopted into a house that was not the same race as them, and learning from adoptive families where the parents were Black or Hispanic or not white. And very quickly, my eyes were opened to not just the state of racial relations in America, but also how involved the church was in the mess that we are in. And it was like, once you see that, you can't unsee it. So for me, that was the very quick, oh no, I've fallen off a cliff and nothing else will ever be the same. Yeah.
My deconstruction was more gradual. I tried for a long time to figure out how to rebuild it. I compare it to a Jenga game very often. Like my spiritual journey in general, just as like a Jenga tower. And you start poking a block and you put it on top and you take another one. And sooner or later I got to the point that I removed enough blocks, it was no longer like, the next block became the thing that it was like, oh, I have to do like one of those YouTube tricks where like I punch it out like really quickly and the whole thing just drops and stays together, or I don't and it literally will all fall apart. And I tried it and it all fell apart. But there are some key, like I know some of the blocks specifically, like when things happened, like when things started to shift in my life in general, about things that made me get out of the Navy, about things that moved me in a direction away from evangelicalism.
Sometimes people have kind of described deconstruction as a bit like being going through a desert. And by the way, we're throwing around that term a lot just for those who may be unfamiliar. So deconstruction is, to kind of sum it up, it's kind of a process of rethinking, often questioning, kind of inherited beliefs. Often, in our context in church, it's like theology and doctrines and things, and some of which maybe you find to be quite beautiful and helpful, and then others, or maybe even many of which you end up feeling like you need to jettison. So that's kind of what we're referring to there. But so that process, like as you mentioned with the Jenga tower, it's not always, this isn't easy. This isn't, for most of us who've been on that journey, not an easy journey. So it can feel like a desert. Has there been for you kind of like a person or a book or a place that's been kind of water, like in that desert?
I think the thing I've learned through deconstruction, I don't know that there have been waypoints for me that have helped. And it started with things like, I read a book by Pete Enns The Bible tells me so. That was just kind of eye-opening for me, a different perspective on the way the Bible was taught to me my entire life. Was like the first one. There's been some others of like coming into contact with Richard Rohr and Brian McLaren, and Sarah Bessey. I don't need a book promo or anything, but they got me into the path that now has me into what I think the bigger thing I've learned out of all of it is the importance of not letting myself be isolated with it. That the bigger thing that you need is a community than you need, and not to knock Brett's love of silent, passionate quietness, but the thing for me is being engaged with a community, because that's where I'm going to see God, at least for me.
Yeah, Jared and I have email strands going back and forth where I'm like, dude, you should really try to sit like in silence for a while. He's like, buddy, you should hang out with more people. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know. So, we both probably need to move towards the other a little bit. So, yeah.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
I've sat in some silence.
Yep.
If there is a gospel of Jared, is you should spend time with more people.
Yeah, but Tiffany, how about you for the water in the desert?
In the long run, it's actually a similar answer, that I needed to know that other people were going through it. Other people were also asking hard questions. I found that on social media, TikTok, Instagram. Like, I found, honestly, April Joy and there were several accounts where people were kind of just being silly, but it was coming from a, hey, this thing that we lived with our whole lives is kind of absurd. Did you notice that it was kind of absurd? And that gave me a really nice in to all the other people that are talking about, hey, this is not the only way to think about faith and spirituality, and even this specific faith, this is not the only way. The other thing I found was in that, because my understanding of racial stuff and my understanding of the evangelical church were so parallel, like that, both of those deconstructions were so parallel. A lot of what I found was intentionally looking for teachers and perspectives of Christian faith that were not white American Christian faith. So looking for teachers from Europe and Africa and Asia, and looking for people who don't look like me, and how do they read what's in the Bible? How do they interpret those scriptures that I've heard my whole life and come with one specific translation? But, if I'm coming from an oppressed people, or if the perspective is from somebody who's been colonized, what does that do to those same verses? So looking at that kind of perspective was really helpful for me, of like, oh, there's a whole world here that I just literally have never seen. And I can explore it as much as I want to.
Yeah. With your kind of journey in mind, is the language of deconstruction, which when I think of, I want to kind of contrast like deconstruction with evolution. Some people describe their journey as a little more deconstruction, like Jenga Tower, like I'm really poking at stuff. It's like very intentional and often quite intense. As opposed to like an evolution, it's a kind of gradual unfolding. It's a little more gentle. If you had to choose a metaphor, which one do you like and why?
It was
For
not
you.
gentle. There was no gentle. I told a friend several years ago, this process for me has been a bit like I've learned, as you grow up, you're handed things, beliefs, values, ideas, and you're told either by explicit words or by the way it's handed to you, this is precious. Hold it carefully. At this point in my life, I have had to take all of those things that I'm holding, that are all precious and that I'm gonna drop because there's just too many of them, and I've had to intentionally put them down, stop and examine each one, and decide, is this actually precious to me? Does it mean anything to me at all? Does it have any value left? What is it doing for me? Is this the kind of thing that I just want to toss because it's not any good anymore? Or is it like, oh, this may be useful, I'm going to throw it in my backpack and just keep it maybe sometimes? Or am I going to continue to hold it like it's precious? And a lot of those things I feel like were very breakable, and I ended up just throwing them on the ground, and now I have all these little pieces that I'm pulling together and turning into a mosaic that looks like what I want it to look like. So, not gentle, but also not fast. So, whatever that looks like.
I would put mine more on the slow, intentional track. I took at it with an attitude of trying to fix it first. Like, that's one of, like, I can rebalance everything. I can figure it out. I'm a smart guy. I just need to read more. I just need to do more. And eventually that came to the point that I couldn't do anymore. And I think what the Jenga tower thing is I've realized I now have a bunch of blocks that I can build, I don't want to say anything with, but like I have a lot more parameters. And to Tiffany's metaphor, it is looking at things and seeing what is of value and what is what can serve me, or how can something help me, and how can, and maybe that thing's not right now, but some things I may need to hold on to. So, but it was definitely it was slow for me, because I think that's the other thing, I didn't want it to fail, right? I spent a lot of time trying to rescue it.
I think I was very ready to just smash the whole thing.
Yeah. What's kind of maybe an insight or something you've gleaned from this whole process that has like improved your life? You know, something from the journey that you would not want to give back. Like you look at it and you say, that actually, even though this was like hard as hell in ways, but I really learned.
I think the thing wouldn't give like out, you're asking like what I wouldn't give back out of like the deconstruction process. I would not give back I'm gonna, how do I say this? I don't think I'll ever let anybody put blinders on me again. Like, not that I'm giving something back as so much as it is like, I'm never going to give up my open perspective now. Things are no longer like, it's funny, years ago we went to we lived in Connecticut, and we wound up in this little church that was marvelous and wonderful and great and really kind of similar to this place, except smaller. But the first time we went, we walked in, and I was raised the Assemblies of God, I'm Spirit-filled, etc. We walked in, and there's like, it's in this little kind of storefront area, but they've got the windows covered up, and like, okay, you walk in, and there's this room to the right, and it says detox room, and then there was like candles and incense burning, and I remember looking at Tiffany and being like, we say the word, I'm out. Either one of us.
If this goes sideways, we're
If this
going
goes
out.
sideways, if this is the devil, we're gone. Like, and just having that concept of like, oh, this can't possibly, like everything red flagged to me initially. And it wound up not being red flags. It wound up being a really great community to be in. But of having that, of not just immediately making judgment on things, I think that's what I would say.
In that place, they intentionally pulled in traditions from different kinds of Christianity. Like, oh, this is a prayer corner, and this is incense, and you can light candles, and things that we had never really been exposed to. So for them to bring those pieces in felt like, oh, this is too far. And honestly, that may have been the beginning of the way, way, way before we got to the cliff and fell off of it. That may have been the beginning. But yeah, I think for me, the big thing that has shifted that is really only in the last year, maybe 2 years, is I was raised in the tradition that at our core, we are sinners and evil, and that a person is a bad person, and has to be saved in order to be good. And I have completely gone a 180 on that. I now believe that if I am made in the image of God, then I contain a spark of the divine, and therefore I can't be bad. I have to be good at my core. And I would, at this point, that is the thing that continues to sustain me, no matter what, is my base instinct is for good, always.
This may tie in, but last question. What's one thing your journey has taught you about love that you didn't know before?
How much self-compassion it takes to love well.
Can you say more about that?
It wasn't until I learned to love myself and to give myself compassion that I was able to soften enough to give room for everyone else. And love doesn't, if I'm not just performing and saying, oh, I'm doing the right thing, therefore I love you, if I actually want to truly love people, I have to be able to see the humanity in them, which means I have to see it in myself.
Yeah, what's one thing that your journey's taught you about love that you didn't know before?
Something I didn't know before about love, before this journey. I don't think I realized how, how universal it is to Tiffany's point about the divine spark, but it's like, I didn't realize that it was as deep as it was. Like how deep it really is in things, that when you get to it, it's when you really start to look at the words and the actions of things, that love is really the best measuring stick for things. That you can't tactically analyze something, you can't, when it comes to your humanity, that it has to start with love, and that it has to, like the things we say that we do for love sometimes are not actually rooted in love, they're rooted in other things, and how we're striving to get to that kind of love, but we do it in, we do it inadequately sometimes.
Well, Louder Milks, thank you. Thank you for sharing.
You're welcome.
Y'all give them a hand. All right, the Barnes. All right. Well, thank y'all for sharing, having the courage to, this is Anna and Becky Barnes, and they've been married for 11 years and attending the table for about 3 years. They have a little bit different timetables, which maybe will come out as they share their story. And something you should know about them, I would say they're like very kind of behind the scenes folks in a lot of ways, but they're like behind the scenes in a way that makes the table possible. So they like host and lead a meetup. They serve on the tech team back here, and just, those folks that are just like present and faithful and showing up in a way that's we're very, very grateful for. So let's just start with how did y'all meet, and what's one detail about your kind of early in your relationship that people wouldn't necessarily guess?
Yeah, so we met online on OkCupid. We were both in our mid-30s. And so, because we were older, we kind of already knew what we wanted in a partner, and we really connected quickly, and so things kind of went pretty fast. But let's see. Sorry, looking at my notes here.
Yeah, just we had a lot of shared values, and we were fast friends.
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
One thing I guess people probably wouldn't guess about us is that we both grew up with very different communication styles. So learning how to communicate with each other was very challenging early on.
Yeah, I can remember early on, my style would be I would shut down. And it took months of Anna encouraging me to tell me what's wrong, what's going on, and me finally trusting her with that. And I remember we were in the car going somewhere, and she asked me what was wrong, and I just told her. And then okay, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that, or that wasn't my heart. And then I realized I don't have to be mad about this the rest of the day. This is so freeing. I love this.
Like, you can live like this? You can.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
But, Anna made it a safe place for me to mess up and say the wrong thing and tell her how I'm feeling, and we just learned together.
If you had to kind of summarize the faith of your childhood, or even kind of maybe up through early adulthood or something, in a single word, what would that word be and why?
I think for me, it would be transactional. That's kind of the word that comes to mind. I grew up, and it's similar to what Tiffany was talking about, where it wasn't okay to ask questions. It was just, this is what the preacher says, so that's gospel, and we were told that Jesus was loving and relational, but the way it was practiced and lived out was more transactional. Like, if you had enough good things on your sheet, then God was okay with you. But if you didn't, then it's like your account's overdrawn. You're out of here, buddy. So yeah, that's kind of in a nutshell how I grew up.
I think the word that I would pick would be conscientious. As a kid, my faith was innocent and sincere, and I wanted to love God, and I wanted to do the right thing. And I think I took things literally, and so a lot of times I would think something small was a sin when it really wasn't. And so as I got older, that same sincerity turned into anxiety, I think, and over-spiritualization. I became very perfectionist. Messing up the word perfectionist. Okay. I wasn't just trying to love God. I was trying not to fail him and not mess up.
So this question's for Anna. Looking back kind of on your life, when did you first, kind of suspect I'm not quite like some of the other people around me seem to be, and kind of what were the kind of concrete circumstances, around that?
Yeah, so, one of the things I want to name right up front, and you kind of alluded to this in the beginning, is that my story doesn't fit into a neat box. There was no aha moment or a moment where I just knew. It was, for a long time, I just assumed that because it didn't fit in a neat box, my experience didn't count, it wasn't valid. But, I would have to say, growing up, what I did have was this constant sense of failing at the things that the boys around me seemed to just be able to do naturally without even thinking about it. And it was like everybody else had been handed a script and was able to follow it, but I spent most of my life trying to compensate and figure out what I was supposed to be doing. And I also learned early on that certain parts of me weren't safe. I can remember an early memory I had was trying to play dress up with my sister and her friends, and all the adults laughing at me for doing that. And so I didn't really understand intellectually what was going on there because I was too young, but my body understood that this part of you is not safe. And so, I had to hide it. And of course, over time, that turns into just exhaustion. Always scanning the room, always performing, always bracing for the next situation where I'd have to get it right. I didn't really even have language to explain it, what was happening to me. But even if I did, I wouldn't have felt safe using that language. And looking back, I can see what I was really longing for was like permission to be soft and feminine. But it was in a world where softness wasn't allowed to belong to me. And in my early 20s, I joined the Navy in an attempt to try to force some version of masculinity upon me.
Toughen up.
Yeah, and that was a disaster. I quickly washed out of boot camp with anxiety and panic attacks, and it just was not for me. In my early 30s, I did come close to some clarity of what was happening, but I quickly kind of just shut the door on that because of a lot of shame. So I shut that door so hard that it became almost like it was denial, really. And so when I met Becky, I genuinely didn't feel like I was hiding something from her. It was, in my mind, resolved, But looking back, what I really was doing was I just learned how to bury questions instead of answering them. So I share all that in this way because I know there are people who feel pressure to have a clean, dramatic story or whatever about their faith or their identity or whatever, and some of us just don't. Some of us find clarity slowly through unlearning and, frankly, through survival.
Was there, what was it eventually, like you mentioned, kind of you had moments where it was like, oh, I think maybe, but then you would shut the door again. Mm-hmm. What eventually led you to a place of really coming out, and then how did that, what was the experience like of starting to share that with Becky and, start that kind of road?
Yeah. Honestly, it wasn't like a moment of clarity for me. It was more like just pure exhaustion. I had spent most of my life assuming that if I tried hard enough, then things would just work out. I would eventually resolve this mismatch that I felt on the inside. It turned out I wasn't really revealing a secret to Becky. It was more like I was discovering one. Discovery is messy, and it's slow, and there's no certainty attached to it. So, telling Becky was one of the hardest things I ever had to do because I wasn't coming to her with this thing I had figured out. I was coming to her with this messy thing that was still in progress, and knowing that even just telling her that would disrupt our entire lives and, disrupt Becky's idea of where she saw, our life ending up. But it turned out, coming to her early instead of waiting until I had it figured out was exactly what we needed. Because if I hadn't, she wouldn't have had the time to try to adjust and to wrap her mind around it. And I don't think our marriage would have survived it. Of course, that was just the beginning of a long and painful stretch. We were both just trying to figure out what it meant for. I was trying to figure out what it meant for me and for us. And in a lot of ways, we still don't have it figured out. We're still working through that.
This one's for Becky. So, what was the very first thought or feeling that went through your mind when Anna began, to come out to you as trans? Like, what was the experience like there?
So I think my first reaction was confusion. I can remember sitting in the car, because that's where she told me, and not really having a framework for what she just said. And so I think I just didn't believe it, because I didn't have the words, the framework, the ideas to connect those dots. After that came fear and grief. And then a lot of praying and fasting. We both grew up in the evangelical world, and I think that we weren't people who were into fasting and doing those things, but this was like, oh my God, what are we gonna do? Like we've got to do something drastic. And what do you do when you pray and you fast and you cry and you do all the things and the things don't work? That's where we found ourselves. And we found ourselves I found myself in the midst of people who had taught me to love like Jesus. And, when you get married, divorce isn't in your vocabulary. It's not in the dictionary anymore. And then you have those same people not telling you that you should get divorced, but, I know that's what they wanted. So thankfully, we each have our own therapist, and we have a couples therapist. And one of the things our couples therapist told us, as you extend the circle, it's going to get harder, and it did. And I think also the months that followed, one of the metaphors that I really clung to was, I felt like I was in a pitch black room and I couldn't find the light switch. And I was stubbing my toes and just all the things. But there were some people who had flashlights, and I knew that I had to learn to trust them. Those people were our therapists, our couples therapist, people here at church, and our meetup. I don't know if we'd still be married if it weren't for our meetup. They held us in a time when even still. So anyway, I think grief has been one of the big key things for me, learning how to deal with that, feeling bad about grieving, feeling like if I cry or if I grieve, I'm not betraying you, but I'm not being nice to you. But, there's a sense that my husband died, but he didn't, and it's really confusing because there's that grief, but then the person that I love is still here. It's the same person. It's the person that I fell in love with. That hasn't changed. The thoughtfulness, the heart, the kindness. So in those dark times, it just really messed with my head of just confusion. But I guess the thing that never went away was just my love for Anna. So.
Well, kind of the last question, this ties in with what you just named. What's one thing through this journey that it's taught you about love that you didn't know before?
I guess I would have to say that I've learned that love isn't certainty. It's about presence, and it's about choosing honesty over comfort and staying in the room even when honesty costs something. Because if we're not honest with each other, then how can we be vulnerable at the level that we need to be to stay connected and love?
I think for me, as I thought about this question, there's two things, and they're both equal. And how do I pick? But I think the thing that it has taught me about love is that two things can be true at the same time. I can deeply love Anna, and I can feel hurt or angry. I can be committed and still scared. I can want to stay and still grieve what I thought things would look like. I think holding that tension has been it's been incredibly uncomfortable, but it's real. Not learning to shut down or choose one feeling over the other. Learning to stay present in that tension of, I love you, but I'm really mad at you right now. Or, I am committed to this, but I do not see the way forward. God, you've got to make the way forward. I think just, staying present in that tension is what I'm learning about love right now.
Wow. Well, thank you both so much for sharing. It's a beautiful, beautiful journey. Y'all give them a hand. Oh, it's beautiful, huh? Beautiful, beautiful. God's faithful, just to meet us wherever we are on that journey. So I hope there was things for you to take away, things you resonated with, things that spoke to you. And even though it's, of course, folks with their own journeys, and there's things that are specific to them, but I hope you can kind of resonate with so much of what they shared. So we're going to transition now to communion, and there's just something so helpful about recentering on Christ, like we do pretty much every Sunday here at the table. And so for those who maybe aren't familiar with this practice, Christ had a final meal with his disciples. And at that meal, he held the loaf of bread and he broke it. And he said, "Take this and eat it. This is my body. It's broken for you." And then he held up a cup of wine and he said, "Take this, drink it. This is my blood. It's shed for you. Whenever you eat this bread, whenever you drink this cup, remember me." So it's this point of connection. It's this point of kind of intimacy, of taking in Christ, of being kind of both consuming Christ and being consumed by the God who is love. So that's kind of what we're participating in. You should know we practice what's called an open table. So, if you're here tonight and you'd like to participate, you're free to do that regardless, of your exact, theological Christian beliefs or, whatever. If there's something in you that wants to connect with Christ, then feel free to come forward and participate. You should know the red is wine, the white is grape juice. And you can just partake whenever and however you'd like. Some folks like to come and kneel here at the front. Others return to their seat to partake, but no one will lead you through the exact moment of taking. You can just do that as you feel led. So this is the table, not of the church, but of the Lord. And it's made ready for those who love him and for those who want to love him more. So come. Come, you who have much faith and you who have little. You who have been here often and you who have not been here long. You who have tried to follow and you who feel like you failed. Come. Come because it's the Lord Jesus himself who invites you. And it's his will that those who want to meet him should meet him here. Come to the table.
fears and doubts, they can all come to because they can't stay long when I'm here with you. Y'all sing that with us. It's a new horizon, and I'm set on you. You meet me here today with mercies that are new. All my fears and doubts, they can all come to because they can't stay long when I believe you are the way, the truth, yeah, the light. I believe you are the way, the truth, oh, and the light. I believe you are. We believe you are.
Thank you all so much for being here tonight. Thanks again to Jared and Tiffany, Anna and Becky. Your presence among us, your vulnerability, your openness, your courage was a gift. It was such a beautiful expression of love, so thank you guys. So glad you're part of the table community. If you're visiting with us, thank you so much for being here tonight. There's going to be a QR code that comes up on the screen. We would love for you to fill out the visitor card, either digitally, or we also have cards on the table over there that you can fill out. Just drop in the box. We would love to thank you for being here tonight and get to know you a little bit and give you some information about our community. That QR code is great. It tells you all about our meetups. You can give. You can get the worship playlist. Lots of cool stuff with the QR code, so feel free to scan that. Don't forget about Hat Creek tonight. Right after we're done here, we'll head over to Hat Creek Burger Company off of 78 in Saxe. We would love to have you there. And lastly, I'd love to send you into your week and into your year ahead with a benediction. So if you are able and comfortable doing so, please stand to your feet. You can hold your hands out in a posture of receiving, or you can just open your heart to these words that I believe are true for each and every one of you. You are a child of God. You are a child of God. This is true on your best day, and it's true on your worst day. So as you go into your week and year ahead, with its yet to be determined highs and lows and everything in between, go, filled with the assurance that you are loved, you are worthy, and you are accepted just as you are. And go, filled with God's Holy Spirit and the desire to extend these same gifts of grace, compassion, and love to everyone you come in contact with. Be blessed. Have a good night. We'll see you at Hat Creek in a few minutes. Good night.
It's a new horizon, and I'm set on you. You meet me here today with mercies that are new. All my fears and doubts, they can all come to